Tag TV and Tag Radio. Be seen and heard by both technology users and technology producers throughout the state of Georgia and around the world. Low cost, big benefits, powerhouse online branded video and audio has arrived. Tag TV, Tag Radio, there's a lot more to know. This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by GlobalSpeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. Tag TV and Tag Radio is a service of GlobalSpeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. So Santa brought your business or home a sack full of new electronic gizmos, new widescreen TV, monitors, all the latest PC components, laptops for everyone, smartphones, cell phones, all the latest gotta-have-it electronic gizmos you could ever imagine. Right? But wait a minute. Now that the glaze from the spiral ham and the long holiday weekend has begun to melt away, now the big question is, what in the world do you do with all the old stuff you've collected over the years? You know, the Dish DirecTV boxes, disk drives, cameras, modems, CD players, floppy disks, MP3 players, microwaves, stereos, printers. The ones stacked up in the corner, over there in the closet, over there in the storage room, or down in the basement. The ones that are more plant stand than high-tech infrastructure that are taking up all your valuable space. What in the world do you do with all of that gizmo clutter? Well, one thing you don't do is you don't throw it into the environment like garbage. It's potentially toxic. So now what? Holiday greetings, everyone. It's Tuesday, December 27, 2011, and this is a special year-end good thing to do resolution edition of Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mantella. The New Year's resolution for 2012 is to donate all that gizmo clutter to the most environmentally and socially responsible electronic recycling organization in Georgia. You support an organization where 60% of its workforce are composed of citizens with disabilities or other barriers to employment. And best of all, it's not only free, you may earn a tax credit or even get payments for valuable combinations of IT and electronics. Up to the Tech Talk, Recycletronics at Tommy Nova Center. Help divert electronic equipment from landfills, possibly earn a tax deduction. Help the center provide jobs. In with the new and donate the old, as Tino Tech Talk's doing the right thing with your old gizmo, electronic gizmo clutter, with the COO of Recycletronics at Tommy Nova Center, Mike Daniels. Mike's career can only be described as one committed to the service of those most in need. Prior to joining Tommy Nova Center in 2006, he spent 17 years working for the National Industries for the Severely Handicapped. He launched Recycletronics in 2009. The dynamic social enterprise is not only a nationally recognized recycling initiative, it has created 71 jobs for people disabled or with barriers to employment. Recycletronics, the New Year's resolution you've been looking for, as Tino Tech Talks with its COO, Mike Daniels.
Mike, thank you for joining me on Tech Talk today.
Tino, good to be here.
I think most people in Georgia, maybe in the U.S., know about the Tommy Nova Center. Certainly has a grand reputation, and congratulations for all the work and impact you are having on people with great needs. But of late, and I don't know how recently you've done this, but I understand you've started a new social enterprise for electronics recycling. So talk a little bit about why you did that and when it started and what your hopes are for that program.
Okay, well, before we do that, do you think everybody out there knows who Tommy Novus is?
Well, I do, but go ahead. I actually played golf with him last year, but go ahead. Give the little pitch on that.
Well, he was the first draft pick of the Atlanta Falcons and overall number one pick in 1965. Played middle linebacker for 11 years and known as one of the hardest hitters ever. You know, but I guess you could say he was a hard hitter with a soft heart. In 1977, after his football career was over with, he and two ladies founded the Tommy Nova Center. The two ladies were Miss Knopf and Miss Slaughter. The mission of the Tommy Nova Center is to develop and provide job training, employment, vocational support for youth and adults with disabilities and other barriers to employment. So that's a little of the history, but to get back to your question regarding why the electronics recycling, in the recession of 2008, of course, our mission is to provide job training, and it was very difficult to find training opportunities for people that were coming through our program. And by the way, we've served over 23,000 people with disabilities in the course of the almost 35 years of existence of the Tommy Nova Center. But we had difficulty finding those jobs out in the community, and we even had difficulty finding work for training the folks coming through the program. So we decided that we needed to be proactive and try to find a business that we could start to create our own jobs and kind of be the masters of our own destiny. So we partnered with another pioneer in the electronics recycling industry who helped us get on our feet and get started. And 2009 we had our first recycling event, collected, almost 56,000 pounds of material in about 4.5 hours. And from that time on, we knew we were on to something big and supporting the environment as well as supporting the people that were coming through our program.
Well, talk a little bit about the people coming through your program in respect to this particular program. Can you bring to life what kind of jobs that they have, what they do, and what their capabilities are in that area?
Well, what we actually do here, we're in a 150,000 square foot warehouse now. We moved into the current facility back in September of last year. We thought when we moved in here we'd be filling it up for a while, but actually it filled up pretty quick. So the operations that we do here and the things that the people do, material comes in on pallets and gaylords. Most of our business comes from the corporate world. Although we do accept donations from consumers here and also at the Tommy Nova Center and at some other locations around town. But anyway, the material comes in. The guys will sort it, according to whether, number one, it has resale value, because if our customers allow us to resell it and then there is a market for it, obviously that's a better use than recycling the product.
Right.
So that's number one. We've tried to actually resell it. So they'd sort it according to resale, or whether it is going to be go through our shredding line, or whether it would actually be disassembled by hand, or whether it actually has a hard drive in there that needs to be wiped or shred. So it gets sorted in that process, and then, according to where it needs to be routed, it goes through that next processing line.
So there's some certifications that customers should be looking for in electronics recycling, and why is that the case?
Yeah, there's actually two main certifications out there. There's the R2, or the Responsible Recycling designation, which came about from the EPA, and there's also the E-Stewards certification, which was established by the Basel Action Network. Both of them ensure good worker safety, health, and environmental practices. Both also ensure that unprocessed or untested electronics are not shipped overseas to Asia or Africa. We went the route of the R2 certification coupled with ISO 14001. And I guess from a corporate standpoint, I would hope that every corporate customer would do a site visit to their prospective recycler just to see how they are processing their material and investigate what material leaves and where it goes to. I'd also hope that all corporations and consumers in Georgia would work with Georgia-based electronics recyclers to create jobs and revenue streams here in Georgia rather than shipping the material to other states.
We're all for that, and that's a good message for our listening audience. So you have companies, some of them will be listening in on this program, that have equipment that they may want to recycle, and of course on everybody's mind nowadays is data security. So make your pitch to our audience in respect to how you're making sure at your organization that data won't be compromised through the recycling process.
Okay, well, before we do that, let's take a step back for a minute and just talk about the big emphasis for electronic recycling overall.
Yeah, good.
Why it's become such a big thing lately. Number one, it's the fastest growing solid waste stream in the country. and only 25% of the electronics that have been produced and are at end-of-life standards are being recycled. It contains some materials such as lead, arsenic, cadmium, beryllium, and mercury that we don't want leaching into our water supply. Number 3, a lot of this material has been shipped overseas to Asia and Africa where materials are recovered, and they're sometimes recovered using child labor and certainly using unenvironmentally friendly practices such as pouring acid over circuit boards to reclaim precious metals. And then lastly, probably not lastly, but number 4, it just makes sense to recover and reuse what we can of this material rather than expend resources such as water and energy to mine more metals or make new plastics. I've seen some statistics showing there's as much gold and silver content in one ton of high-grade circuit boards than in 17 tons of rock ore. You think about all the energy and water that's expended to get that rock ore out of the ground, and it takes 17 times as much of that as it would, electronics to get those minerals back out of it.
And did you talk enough about how it's protected in respect to any kind of compromise?
No, let me talk about that.
Yeah.
Here again, if companies or consumers use recyclers that are R2 or E-Steward certified, they can rest assured that their processes and procedures are in place to ensure the data is wiped or the hard drives are destroyed. We actually have several processes that we use for destroying data here. We utilize the Department of Defense 3-pass wipe, where every byte of the hard drive is overwritten 3 times, and it can be done up to 7 times to ensure the data is unrecoverable. We also have a destruct data appliance, which uses the new National Institute of Standards and Technology Purge Secure Erase function, which is actually built into the newer hard drives, and it's tapped by this particular piece of equipment. Some of our customers don't like to take any risk with wiping. They like to have their hard drives actually destroyed, and in that case, we physically shred them. And then for the ultimate in security, some of our customers require us to actually wipe the data using that Department of Defense protocol and then shred the hard drive after that. So by the time that's happened, there's absolutely no way anybody's going to recover any kind of data from the hard drives.
So this sounds great in terms of companies listening in, and we have time for one final question, but I'll put 2 questions in one here. It sounds like you've already described how Tommy Nova Center differentiates from other recyclers, but you might want to touch on that again. And then finally, if companies or people interested in supporting the Tommy Nova Center want to connect with you, how might they best do that?
Okay. Well, I guess our approach is different than a lot of recyclers, in that our mission is to create jobs for persons with disabilities or barriers to employment. Most of the larger electronics recyclers have fully automated processing lines, which, they make the process more efficient, and they even eliminate jobs. But the heart of our processes are our people and procedures. And by focusing more on creating jobs, we actually provide a better return to the environment. Let me tell you how that is. In a fully automated line, you may throw a TV in at one end, and everything is ground up together, and the machine automatically sorts and separates the different commodities. Commodities being the glass, plastic, copper, steel, aluminum, etc. that's in the article. But in that process, you also contaminate all of the commodities with the lead, arsenic, cadmium, beryllium, and mercury that's in those materials. In our process, we're careful to isolate those components that contain the harmful materials so as not to contaminate all the other materials. We manually disassemble TVs and CRT monitors, and we even keep the leaded glass separated from the unleaded glass. We remove any mercury-containing tubes before shredding copiers, scanners, or fax machines, and we're constantly developing new procedures to ensure the purest and uncontaminated materials are generated. So not only are we giving electronics a second life, Tommy Nova Center is about giving people a chance. We've had some employees that have come through our program here. This has been their first job because no one else would take a chance on them or provide the assistance that they needed. Then we've had others who've actually come from successful careers but then suffered, some sort of effects of a tragedy, sometimes self-inflicted, and we provide them that second chance to get their lives back together and move forward. The the bottom line is we process millions of pounds of electronics in a month, but it's not about the quantity. It's about the quality of the lives we're improving and the quality of the electronics and the material that we generate. And if anybody wants to get in touch with us, my email address is mike@recycletronics.com, or our phone number here is 770-426-1700.
Mike, thanks so much for joining me on Tech Talk today. Congratulations on your work and this exciting new project. I think you'll find that a lot of our technology companies will want to jump in and participate in this kind of thing. We'll see what kind of response you get from this program, but best wishes over the holidays, and thanks for joining me on Tech Talk.
Thank you, Tino.